Hello and welcome back to another episode of Come Back Stronger, where we bring you stories of incredible people who have overcome significant adversity. They've gone on to correct their own lives and they've come back to help other people come back stronger. I'm Dana Brooks of Fasig Brooks Law Offices, and I'm joined today by my law partner, Jimmy Fasig.
Hello, everybody.
And we are bringing you a story today about Pastor Warren Cave. He is the creator and CEO of Clean Start Initiative. Jimmy, you know him. Tell everybody what Clean Start's about.
Warren Cave. That's what Clean Start's about. Warren Cave, Warren Cave, Warren Cave. I love me some Warren Cave.
I know you do.
Because he and I, we go way back.
Yeah.
We're both convicted felons, and he has taken his life and his story as a convicted felon, and he has changed his world and the lives of many others because he started a foundation called Clean Start Initiative, which is dedicated to helping inmates come back stronger. So that's what I love about a great comeback story is you got somebody who has gone through a challenge, like being a convicted felon, has overcome that challenge, and then has come back to help other people along the way that are going through the same challenge.
Now, tell me a little bit, because we're going to get deep into it in just a minute when our law partner, Carrie Roan, gets into her two-part interview with Pastor Cave. But tell me just an overview. What does he do? What is Clean Start, and how does he help people when they are re-entering society after a period of time incarcerated? So
when you are incarcerated, a lot of the people that are incarcerated, they are scared.
Yeah, they are.
They have, they're worried that they're never going to get a job. They're worried that no person is ever going to love them again. They're going to be an outcast to society. So what Warren Cave does with the Clean Start Initiative is he provides that foundation and that support to help them get a job, to help them reintegrate into the community, to give them that support. A lot of it is spiritual support. It's a Christian-based program.
Yeah, he gives them a path. I can't wait for you to come back after this break. We're going to start our first part of our two-part interview with Pastor Warren Cave, talking about the Clean Start Initiative. Stay tuned.
So I think one of the important roles that a female lawyer has is understanding the family dynamic. The more you understand what people do for their families, the more money you can get people when they're injured and they can't service their families by everything that they're doing at home and at work. Right. And I don't want to say that men don't understand that family dynamic, but I do think that statistics show that women understand that family dynamic more and can empathize and sympathize with it because of our own roles in our own homes.
Right, and it helps offset some of these assumptions about women's claims, which is that they're inherently valued lower. It's easier to replace the things that they do. They're more menial. They're not higher earning career professionals. When you look at everything they do and what the negligence of the wrongdoer has cost them and this whole entire family, that adds up pretty fast. And you've got to have somebody who is looking out for you and knows to go after every single thing you are owed. And we are back. We're going to have our first part of Carrie Roan's two-part interview with Pastor Warren Cave, talking about the Clean Start Initiative. Take a look.
Hi, Warren. Thank you so much for being here with us on Come Back Stronger.
It's my pleasure for being here.
I'm so excited to hear your story. As I have been told by you and by some others, you know, you started out in the 90s and went through some convictions. You were a convicted felon, a lot of drug charges, but you turned your whole life around and you run the Second Chance Initiative now, which essentially rehabilitates prisoners, gets people back into the community, and helps all of their families. Yeah. So I'm just really excited to hear about your journey and what you're doing for people in our community.
And it'll be a blessing for me to share.
Well, let's start with kind of your dark days. What happened to you in the 90s that landed you in prison, and what was life like back then?
Well, it started out 11 years old. I would roll 100 joints. All out on sale, we were smoking.
As a baby,
at
11?
At 13 years old, I was selling weed, drinking 4 or 5 quarts of beer a day. 14 years old, I was doing cocaine.
Wow.
At 15, I went to the 10th grade.
Where were your parents? What was going on? They just didn't know, or?
No. That's a story that is, when you have a child that's an honor roll student like I was, and parents don't look for you to make bad grades or bad decisions and you're making them, if they're not checking on your grades, then your grades can be going backwards. That's what happened with me.
Yeah. So did you just like fall into the wrong crowd when you were 11, when you started doing all that?
I ran into the wrong crowds, but I wanted to be the guy.
Yeah.
And I went to the 10th grade in 1980, I did 4 years in the 10th grade, dropped out of school.
In juvie or what?
I got dropped out of school. I was going to school,
Yeah,
but I
okay.
was flunking. And I got a GED in 1989 in prison.
Okay.
So my earlier years were getting high. Then I started robbing. Then I was a drug dealer that became more of a user than a drug dealer. So the addiction was taking me that way.
So you said you started robbing. How old were you and what were you robbing?
19, 20, robbing people. I was setting up people. If they want to buy drugs and alcohol, we would rob them. I was snatching Rolexes from people, snatching pocketbooks. I was running up and down the street. I stayed in and out of jail a lot in the middle and late 80s. I mean, from 1984, 85 to 1991, 75% of my time was spent in jail, not on the street. So I would get out of jail and be locked up before you can know it. So I stayed in jail. There were times I went to jail twice. I got out of jail that afternoon and went back to jail that night.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so.
How old were you when you were first arrested?
The first time I was in high school, but they threw it out. They pinned me for selling some marijuana in high school, but a guy had the same color clothes on I had, and they charged him instead of me. But I did go to jail. And after that, it was like 19, 20, 21. I just stayed in and out of jail.
You just kept going in?
In and out, in and out.
From the age of 18 or 19, or did you go in?
From 19, I stayed in and out of jail.
Okay.
In and out. If I was on the streets for 6 months, they could have threw a party for me.
So what was your mentality back then? You know, a lot of people think that prison is prohibitive. In other words, people would think, oh, he just served a year in jail, he's not going to go back because it was so awful. But it sounds like your mentality was maybe that was just your life.
My mentality was when I got real bad off and we were robbing, we used to have a motto. We used to play bus out. Bus out means how much drugs we get. We play bus out. We just get high till we can't get out no more till we fall asleep.
What does that mean? What?
We
Bust
play.
out?
It's called bus out. That was our slogan. I mean, if we had an ounce of coke and some weed, we gonna still hang out, but we gonna keep getting high till we can't get high no more. And the other motto we had was, I'm not gonna live to be 25, so I'm gonna kill somebody or they're gonna kill me.
I see.
Yeah.
And that was the same motto?
That was the motto that we lived with.
Yeah.
Now, you gotta understand, in Miami, in Coconut Grove, there's an area called Chi-Town. And there were Chi-Town boys. I am the originator of Chi-Town and the Chi-Town boys.
What was is that the motto that you're talking about, the Chi-Town boys?
The Chi-Town boys, that's what we did. But the thing about it was, I led a lot of young people astray. Because of me, a lot of young men were killed, life in prison, so many years, a lot of them strung out. So now it blesses me today that I don't lead men astray, but I lead them down the path of righteousness.
Have you forgiven yourself for that?
I have. For a while, it beat me up a lot, but I have forgiven myself. And I look back on how it wasn't from the grace of God, I wouldn't be here. I lived a suicidal life without putting a gun to my head.
Yeah.
My last 4 charges in Miami were selling and robbing undercover police. So you know I was death-struck.
Is that when you were addicted? Is when you started?
Very addicted. Very addicted.
So what was your turning point? How did you get out of it?
Praying a lot. Now I'm going to share something with you. There's a scripture. And there are 100 sheep and one get lost. And God leaves the 99 and go get one.
Right.
On June 3rd of 1997, I was up for about 3-4 days. I got arrested again for robbing undercover police in the backseat of a police car. You can laugh with me because I've laughed at myself. But there was smoke like a fire. Nobody in the car but me in handcuffs.
Oh.
And God said, surrender, I love you.
He said, surrender, I love you?
He said, surrender, I love you. And he said it about 4 times. Now me high, looking at this smoke, I don't never want no more of that dope, ever, because I'm freaking out. But it was God.
Yeah.
And he kept touching on my heart. When I realized it was him because of my relationship, I just started crying. But the sequences that happened over the next 27 days showed me that he left the 99. And there's no pastor. There's nobody teaching. There's nobody leading me to Christ. I'm in the back seat, handcuffs, high, semi-hallucinating, but I realized it was God. He came to get me because he wanted me to work for him.
Why did you decide to go with him that time?
4 days prior, I wanted to commit suicide.
Oh, Warren.
I wanted to end my life. And I went into a deep sleep at the Metro Rail because I wanted to jump in front of the Metro Rail. And I fell asleep up there, and when they woke me up, it was like 4 o'clock in the morning. I had to leave and all that. And then I went on another run. And in the backseat of the police car, I realized it. But when I went to jail for 3 days, I was crying. And I wasn't crying because I was in jail. I was crying because I felt the relief of knowing God. Now, my motto, we gonna drink and drug to the day we die. We gonna rob somebody, they gonna kill us, or we gonna get killed in the street. Or, that's our motto.
Yeah.
From June 3rd of 97 to this day, I've never had a desire to drink, drug, smoke a cigarette or anything. No AA, no NA, just God delivered me.
God, that's amazing.
He came and rescued me. Now, I don't know about other people. He left the 99 to find this one. In 2000, God started whispering in my ear again, you take care of people, I'm gonna take care of you.
When we come back from the break, that's what I want to talk about, is what are you doing now with your life to take care of everybody else?
Yeah.
Lots of thoughts in my head right now, Jimmy. What are you thinking about? You know, Warren, you've walked a similar path. What are you thinking about?
Well, what comes across to me as the most powerful thing is that a lot of the people with the best comeback stories, faith is a foundation.
Yeah, it is.
Now, sometimes it's a different faith. It's not always the same religion, but faith is very often a foundation. And that moment that he had where he felt like he was being spoken to, I relate because I've had a similar moment myself.
Yeah.
And that kind of a moment will change you. And you just mentioned during the break that you had a friend that had a similar moment and that changed him. Those moments, they say life all comes down to a series of moments.
Yeah.
Well, that was one of them.
Yeah, it is. It is. And, whether it's the universe, whether it's God, whether it's the fact that you are high and you're having a really significant experience right now, your mind is unlocked to thinking about your life differently at that moment. And I think sometimes it may be you telling yourself, quite enough. I'm tired of this life. I'm going to take this experience and I'm going to use it as an impetus and a catalyst to have the life that I know I'm supposed to have. I'm going to stop taking for granted the breaths that I take. But I heard a lot of things in there that made me think that this is a young man who, a couple of things, he was doing so well. For a while, he wasn't getting a lot of attention. No one was paying attention.
He was
to
an
what he
honor roll
doing.
student.
Yeah,
He was honor roll student.
and that can happen to people. You got a kid who's performing well.
Yeah.
You go, oh, one
You
thing
take
I
your
don't
hands
have to
off the
worry
wheel.
about. And you go, no, everybody needs tending to. All the flock needs tending to. And the other thing I heard was no hope. Whenever you're you're in an environment where you got a 25% chance of getting killed or incarcerated by the time you turn 18 because you're a black man in America, that changes the way you look at your life. It changes the way you think if your life matters. And when you don't think your life matters, nobody else's life matter, then you start taking them and not cherishing them. And you will rob people and you will kill people and you will see your friends get killed and you will see yourself kill people. So I just heard a lot of no hope. And so I can't wait to come back after the break, hear the second part of Carrie Roan's interview with Warren Cave and his Clean Start Initiative philosophy and what changed him and what made his life take a different trajectory. So stay tuned. We'll be right back after this.
This is about Carrie. It says, "There's not enough space, nor could I find enough words to articulate my experience with Fasig Brooks. Working closely with Carrie and Brittany has literally changed my life. Not only did they handle my case as if they were standing up for their own immediate family, we became like family. I've never felt alone in the process. I never felt like just another case, and the encouragement on the harder days would always lift me up. Absolutely everyone in the firm exudes a compassion for the cases they handle and a real passion to empower the lives of individuals and families far beyond a settlement. They are strong, resilient, will leave no rock unturned. I absolutely love Fasig Brooks."
I love that. I mean, I just have no words to explain how grateful I am that somebody feels like that about us.
And we are back. We're about to watch Carrie Roan's second part of her interview with Pastor Warren Cave. Take a look.
Warren, what a crazy, crazy life you have lived. You were saying during the break, I asked you about how your mom felt during all this. I've got teenage boys, so I always think about how I would feel if this was my boys doing it. And I'm sure your mother was like just beside herself, heartbroken at what you were doing.
She got to see me transformed. I was the person that she would see on crack and would bring to church, and I sleep during service. And I still remember the first time I preached at the church, the joy she had to see me.
I imagine so. And you said that she saw you graduate from Bible school?
Bible college. She saw me do a lot. The last 4 years of her life, I was able to maybe twice a month, once a month, but I made sure I took care of her monetarily to give her something to bless her. But she saw me turned around. So when she passed unexpectedly, it bothered me for about a day. And then I just went through the memories of what she did for me and how I was able to be a blessing to her before she passed.
Yeah.
She had no strings about what's going on with Warren anymore.
Of course.
She met my wife, my family, so we were great.
So tell me about your transition and what you do now and what your ministry is about and how you're helping others who were in your shoes or in shoes now like the ones you used to wear.
You know, I have an initiative called the First 72, and it's one of the most major things I love. I used to get out of jail, and within 24 hours, I was strung out on crack. So when my buddies came to me, they gave me a pistol, they gave me drugs, and they said, let's go do this. No one never say, Warren, I got a job lined up for you. I can go do this, because I was going back with the same crowds. So now it's my duty that God has instilled in me to teach life skills to guys while they're in jail and when they get out, and to mentor them. Last year alone at the Leon County Jail, I helped over 80 people get a job that within 24 hours to get a job that they knew they was getting out. But I had 37 within 72 hours that got a job that's still working.
That's fantastic.
So but one of the things about it, there's so many that they don't get the life skill teachings in the jail. And when they get out, it's like boom. And one thing I did know is that when I got finished from facing 40 years for that last crime, and God opened the door for me, instead of me going back to my old neighborhood, I walked about 3.5 hours to a shelter.
Yeah.
And I stayed in the shelter for 5.5 months. So when God tells us, if you can't forsake your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, how can you follow me? He don't tell us, he's not telling me to hate my mom, my dad, my sister, my brother. But if my brother and my sister want to give me a gun and some drugs, then I have to forsake them if I want to follow Christ.
That's right.
So I forsake the rest of it, and I went to following Jesus. And I'm from Miami, then I moved here, and it's been great. It's been more of a blessing to know that so many lives were destroyed because the enemy used me to be Chi-Town. But it's a blessing to know that lives are being restored and families are being made whole because of God using Warren.
How can people that are in jail or prison, how can their families tell those guys to find you? Find Warren. Don't go back to your neighborhood. Don't go back to the gang. Don't go back to your friends that were leading you astray. Find Warren, and Warren can get you a job and on the right path.
The first thing they can do, if they go to www.cleanstartinitiative.org, that's my website, and it speaks about it. But my number is 850-408-0250. If someone called me, or it's warrentcave@hotmail.com. But if someone can call me and let me write and pen pal someone before they get out of jail, they may not be perfect, but they'll be far from being broken if I can reach them while they're in jail before they get out of jail.
Just get them started.
Just to get them started. That's the thing I love, because my initiative is called the First 72. And there's a murder thing called First 48. So the First 48, they got 48 hours to try to find the person that did it.
That's right.
The first 72 hours when a person get out of jail, they shouldn't have to worry about how much the child support court fines, what they have to do, how can they find a job, do they have a support system, do they have a mentorship program. This needs to be in order so the first 72 hours of their life can be at peace.
Right.
And they will know that I don't have to go back over here where I was. I need to forsake this crowd. I need to get with this crowd. And it's all about being able to get connected in a positive manner. But the main part of the Clean Start Initiative, what I love is teaching life skills. See, I had a mindset and a lifestyle that was destructive.
Yeah.
Now I like to teach life skills where the mindset and the lifestyle is about growth, your family, being committed in the community. But most of all, and it offends some people, and it's very much okay. I want everyone to understand, get a relationship with God. Try to get connected with Jesus. Everybody don't want to do it. I get that. But try to find a connection spiritually that's going to help you grow and not going to keep going backwards. So that's what I try to do.
Is that going to help somebody find a job?
Yes.
Yeah.
It does. You want me to tell you why?
Yeah.
If you're going to honor God with what you do and what you say, if you don't work, you don't eat. That's what the Bible says. So you're going to have to work. But it helps people get a job because one thing you can always count on, if you doing what's right and what's best, someone is able to help you.
That's right.
When you can't help yourself.
That's right.
But if you're continuously doing what's wrong and not what's best, people would tend to want to shy away. They may help you here and there, but then they would tend to shy off to say, even with Warren, I will help you to the fullest. But if you continuously want to do the wrong thing, I think the time that I'm spending with you, I could be spending it on someone
Right.
that wants to do it.
I mean, good things happen to good
Yeah.
people. So if you're making good choices, good things are going to happen for you. There's always a second chance. And we should always forgive people, forgive ourselves.
I would love for people to know that I am in the middle of helping 450 kids that is in juvenile, or their mom and dad is in juvenile, with backpacks and supplies, that when they leave the jail and they're back to go into society, or they're released, that they will have backpacks and school supplies. I'm taking them to judges, they're in the chambers, school supplies. I just took 80 pair of shoes from the Charlie Ward Foundation last week.
Awesome.
So I'm just trying to help these kids with some things. And every Monday at Trinity United Methodist Church from 5:45 to 7, you can bring a youth to be mentored. And once a month with those youth, the family can come and we can have family night.
That's fantastic. So where can people donate? I know they can donate here at our law firm.
They can, and they can go to givebutter.com/backpacks23, and everything will pop up.
Perfect.
They will get a tax write-off sheet right then if they want to drop off some supplies. If they want to meet me and give me some stuff, it's great.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Can I say one other
Of
thing?
course.
If you have a loved one struggling with drugs, struggling with alcohol, ex-con, can't get a job, tell them to call Warren and come back stronger.
Say your number one more time.
850-408-0250. Tell them to reach Warren and they'll come back stronger.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Come back stronger. Jimmy, what do you think about that? You're helping Warren raise supplies for his initiative at the office. Say more about that, if you will.
Well, I mean, Warren has come through to help children who are in the juvenile justice system.
450 of them.
Or children whose parents are incarcerated.
Yeah.
And he's helping them get the school supplies that they need. So that's just part of what he does. But what I love most about what Warren said is it just makes me think that life is always guiding us to become the highest and best version of ourselves. And then when we do, like what he said, when we do right, then the wind is at our backs.
It is.
Because all of a sudden we start to get the full support of God, of the universe, whatever you want to call it. And so that's what I love about Warren, is that he's constantly helping people who are helping themselves. They're ready to help themselves.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people that are coming out of prison, they are in that state of mind where they really want to help themselves.
Well, you know, the first 72 hours, I can't emphasize enough how important that is. And you're thinking, well, what do you know about it? I actually went to pick up someone who was being released from the state, prison system.
Yeah, I remember
Went
that.
to pick him up in
Yeah,
Perry.
yeah.
he had a lot he had to do.
Yeah.
He had to check in with a certain place that was all the way over here. Yeah, that's a distance from Perry to here. He had to check in. He had to get a place. He had to show up at a place, and he needed just basic, toiletries and stuff like that. And I thought to myself, how many people are here for this first 72 hours? It's crucial, it's essential, but we're going to take a break and we're going to come back to wrap up this two-part interview on Pastor Warren Cave and his Clean Start initiative to help people who are re-entering society after serving their debts. Come back.
Excellent service, 100 times more responsive than other attorneys I've worked with. Highly recommend, especially attorney Kimmy Hogan. She is fabulous.
Yes, she is.
It's all about communication. The number one complaint about lawyers is my lawyer never calls me back. But the number two complaint is my lawyer never calls me and tells me what's happening with my case. That's why I love reading a review like this, because I know, Kimmy, you are really good about calling your clients, letting them know what's happening with the case, keeping them informed every step of the way. Because what you got to remember is that these clients, this is their first case a lot of times. They've never been through this before. They don't know what to expect. Am I doing the right thing? Am I getting the right medical treatment? Am I actually going to get a settlement at the end of the case? So they need that reassurance, and they need to know what the process is every step along the way.
And we are back. We have just wrapped up a wonderful two-part interview with Pastor Warren Cave. He is in charge. He's the CEO and creator of the Clean Start initiative, which helps people re-enter society after they have served a period of incarceration. And we heard his really compelling story about how he was on this great path. Everything looked good, but people kind of took their eye off of him because he seemed like he was fine. And he did what he knows and what the other people in his environment were doing. And he got in the wrong crowd, and he ended up dealing and using a lot of drugs. So he's just gone on to do so much, Jimmy. You're helping him. You're a part of his pastoring.
Yeah.
You've gone to his church. You've talked to people, and I know you spend a lot of your time helping people. Tell our listeners, if you don't mind, how they can help with what he's doing right now and where they can drop off stuff.
Yeah, so we're looking for backpacks. We're looking for school supplies for children that are in all grades.
Yeah.
And if you can bring them to our office at 3522 Thomasville Road, Suite 200.
Yeah,
3522 Thomasville Road, Suite 200. And it will get to the kids, I promise.
We promise you. We're in the Truist Bank building in Killorn, so drop off what you can give, and we appreciate it. We'll make sure it gets to good use. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned next week. We get so much that thanks us about what we do in the community. I like this one because they recognize the show. This person wanted to appreciate us for all the projects we've done this year, the social media videos, but particularly the Come Back Stronger interviews based on Jimmy's book. They just think that we make a lot of opportunities for people who you don't usually hear about, and they appreciate it, and we love doing it. To a lot of people, $5,000 is a life-changing amount of money, and they're not looking at the value of what it would take to make that person whole, which is our job.
My client didn't accept the $5,000. We got a $5 million verdict.